Hello and welcome back to the Grunt Perspective. In today's video, I'm going to be covering my plate carrier for saw gunners or machine gunners. So if you haven't seen the belt setup video, which I have the belt right here, this video isn't really going to make sense. So please go watch the belt setup video. You can think of it kind of like the stuff on the plate carrier is mission enhancing and the stuff on the belt is mission essential. So you'll definitely see some stuff, or you will see the lack of stuff on the plate carrier, and it won't really make sense unless you watch the belt video. So please go ahead and watch that first and then come back and watch this one. Okay, now to talk about the plate carrier, before I talk about it, I want to talk a little bit about gunners, some tips and tricks that they can use and how they're used. So in most places, most conventional infantry, the gunner, saw gunner or 240 gunner is usually a junior guy, usually brand new, just checked in, and he's gonna carry the gun or the saw to earn his stripes a little bit. Some places it's the opposite, where like they want saw gunners to have a little bit of experience so they can better employ it. But most places that's the case for 240s. And this kit, it can work for saws, but I've definitely geared it more towards 240s. But it works for either. So what that means is on this kit, you're not going to see a lot of the command and signal equipment and like the command and control type stuff, because the guy that's using this is going to be like a private, you know, a E3 at most, and he doesn't have to worry about that stuff. His job is to shoot the gun, lube the gun, make sure the gun's on target, and maintain the gun, right? He lives by the gun. His team leader is gonna take care of that stuff. His team leader or his squad leader is gonna take care of like maintaining his rates of fire, controlling the targets that he's firing on, signaling to maneuver. All in all, his team leader is just responsible for the employment of this guy, right? So you'll definitely see some stuff, or you won't see some stuff on here that you might think that like a machine gun team might need, like smokes, signals, all kinds of stuff. Like it's going to be very bare bones just to for the gunner, right? Not for the team leader. If you're a team leader or an ammo bearer, I would recommend you pretty much use a variation of the infantryman kit that I have already broken down on my channel. You're a rifleman, but you're crew served, so maybe you want to put some other stuff on your plate carrier or belt. Like maybe you want to have some ammo pouches on your belt and stuff like that. But your primary weapon is an infantry rifle, so your kit shouldn't be that different than the other kit that I've broken down. But this guy's kit should be vastly different because he most likely doesn't even have a rifle. He'll either have the gun and a pistol. If he's really unfortunate, he'll have the gun and a rifle. And if his unit's very stupid, he'll have the gun, a rifle, and a pistol. But either way, hopefully you don't have to deal with that. So to talk about a couple things before the plate carrier that I wanted to hit again. If you've seen my patrol loadout first line gear video, that's pretty much the first line gear that like every infantryman, regardless of rank or billet, should be carrying. And it's not going to change a whole lot depending on what you're doing. But one of the things that I really wanted to highlight for this guy is a compass. Obviously the compass is used for navigation, but as I kind of mentioned, this guy is a private, so he's not really doing that very much. What it's important for him to have a compass is to establish what's called a maneuver safety line, or MSL, as I'm going to refer to it for the rest of the video. And what it is depending on how you're shooting, your MSL is either going to be 15 or 45 degrees. It'll be 15 degrees on tripod or 45 degrees off bipod. And measuring these out is the way that you're supposed to do it. right? That's the most accurate, most permissive way to do it. But what guys do a lot of the time is they do the shaka. And the shaka is roughly 15 degrees is what people say, but this is really not good because, you know, depending on the size of your hands, I have really big hands. This is much more than 15 degrees. And that's not that big of a deal at like 300, 200 meters range to target, but it turns into a really big deal when you're shooting like 1,500 meters to target. And that couple degrees off gets very wide, and it makes the maneuver have to buddy rush that much further to get to the objective. And that's not good. It's much more restrictive. So, but the reason why people do this is because it's fast. You can get up and just check that you're clear real quick, and then you know that you're good. What you should do once you've done that is reconfirm with this, but a lot of times that doesn't happen. So just to talk about something that you can do it gives you a blend between fast and accurate is something that I call declinating your hand. And you can do this almost anywhere. All you need to do is find 2 points that are 15 degrees apart from each other. And you measure that with the compass, obviously. So say you got tree number 1 and tree number 2, and they're 15 degrees apart from each other exactly. What you do then, once you know that, you hold your arm out at full arm's distance away from your face, and then you figure out what position you need to put your hand in to cover that space, that 15 degrees. So if you got like really big hands, it might be a fist and a thumb for you, or it could be a fist and a thumb and the first knuckle of your pinky, or maybe you are the full shaka like this. And maybe if you got real small hands, you got to put both hands together like that, right? Something. But what you do is you now know that if you put your hand in this position, it is going to be much more precise and closer to 15 degrees than just doing this and making it a blanket term for everyone, right? So this is a good blend of fast and accurate, but obviously the most preferred method is the compass, and that's what you should do. So talked about that. Now to talk about how these guys are carrying these guns, right? So in a lot of places, for whatever reason, guys don't want to give their gunners slings, and they just want them to carry the gun. And what the gunner does, understandably, is he just carries the gun over his shoulder. If it's a 240, then it's really heavy. And if it's a saw, then that's his only weapon. So he should definitely have a sling for that. But inside of your assistant gunner bags or some other bags, it's probably locked in the armory in some weird place with some weird corporal guarding it. There are slings for 240s. This is what they look like. They're extremely durable, very padded, and these weird little like slinky looking things, you can see that they have wire and a carabiner. So these slings are good. They're good for patrol carry, but you're obviously not going to be using a sling when you're when the gun's on the tripod. But if you expect your gunner to patrol with the gun in a position like ready to fire like he should be, then you need to give him a sling. Stop being an asshole. Give your gunner a sling, okay? Another sling that I've used has been the Arbor Arms Dual Adjust Sling, and this is the heavy model. What makes it different than the normal model is all this hardware is metal, which is heavy, but it's made for heavier weapons, so it's very durable. Nice and wide. I've used this for 240s. I've used it for Carl Gustavs, and the really cool feature about the dual adjust sling is that you can cinch it down in 2 different ways. So you can pull this length out, and it makes the sling much shorter. So maybe if you're hasty rappelling or fast roping or something like that, you have a better way to tighten that gun down to your body, because that's quite a heavy mass to be swinging around in an uncontrolled manner, and it can really mess you up. So just a couple different ways to carry the gun, and a little bit of like what to expect with this kit. Now that I've covered that stuff, to start talking about the kit itself. So the vest is a London Bridge Trading SRT plate carrier, and if you don't know what that is, it's a spin-off of the 6094, which was a very successful plate carrier. It was issued to lots and lots of units to great success. But I've done this similar setup with a with a Gen 2 and a Gen 3 issued Marine Corps plate carrier. So take the stuff that you see here, apply it to your own plate carrier, and you should be fine. Right? So to talk about the front, you can see there's absolutely nothing on the front. The reason for that is because this guy is going to be in the prone a lot. He's going to be firing. His primary firing position is going to be in the prone, and it's going to be advantageous for him to get as low to the ground as possible, as well as comfortable for him. I don't care what anyone tells you. You're not too hard to be comfortable in your kit, and you should be comfortable. If anyone's telling you like, you know, it's not supposed to be comfortable, like that person's a dumbass. Get comfortable with your kit. So got nothing on the front except for a knife. This knife is a Benchmade Nim Ravis, which I have taken the plastic guard out of the sheath that it normally comes in, applied some sticky Velcro, and now it just rides inside the admin kangaroo pouch here. The reason why that's on there is because it's important for every infantryman to have a knife, and if you've seen the belt video, you know that there's no more room on the belt for the knife. When it came down to the belt, it was I'm either carrying a multi-tool or a knife, and I identified that a multi-tool is the more important of those two items for the machine gunner specifically. Right? In the top here, there's an admin pouch, which most people will say like you put maps and stuff in. For this guy, again, he's a really junior guy. He doesn't need to carry maps and whatnot. So what he's carrying are range cards. And there's 4 of them. I'm just going to use one of them to show you. These are, what are these? 5x7 range cards that I've laminated, and I'm carrying 4 of them. 4 of them for a reason. One, whenever you make a range card, you're technically making 2 range cards. You're making one that's going to stay on the gun, and then you're making one that's going to go to your leader, whoever's in charge of you, platoon commander, squad leader, and that range card, if you've done it correctly, is going to get drawn into a larger sector sketch, right? But it's important that you still have the one on the gun, so you have the gun data for someone who maybe didn't make the range card that's standing watch on the gun, now knows how to apply that data to the gun, and he knows where the TRPs are, he knows the gun data, he knows the traversing bar and the elevation and everything that he needs to know. So I have 4 of them. I got 2 cards for your primary and 2 cards for your alternate position. So good thing to have. You could carry even 2 more for a supplementary position, but you know, I stopped at 4. It wouldn't be that hard to carry another 2 inside here. There's still plenty of room, and those just ride up there all the time. The buckles on the front, these things get kind of fragile if you're taking them on and off a whole lot, so I didn't want to take them off for this because I still use this plate carrier. But they also double as holding the hydration hose here, which, you know, keeps it out of the way, out of the gunner's way, and ready to go. That's it. That covers the front. Moving on to the sides here, we'll start on this side. So this is the right side, or the strong side, because all gunners are right-handed. It's the same setup that you saw on the infantryman plate carriers, infantryman plate carrier video. Shaw Concepts Arc V2 cummerbund with the pads inside, T3 gear tourniquet pouch on the front. This tourniquet I keep looped. I keep both of these tourniquets looped now, so I could use them with one arm if I needed to, but they're still easy enough to use on someone else. And these tourniquet pouches are really awesome. They're fully enclosed, so it keeps dirt, mud, sticks, sand out of the tourniquet, and that's important for every infantryman, but even more important for this guy, just because the amount of time that he's going to be laying in the prone, either on watch, firing his gun, or when getting in contact, drops to the prone. So it's important that this stuff stays protected, just because of the amount that he's going to be actually in the prone. Open this up a little bit. The Shaw Concepts use first spear tubes, which I like. It's easy to don and doff your plate carrier. And then I got the Arc Cummerbund side buckets here, which offer a little bit of padding. There's a rifle mag insert in there right now, but obviously the gunner would have no reason to carry that. I just didn't want to take it out, so it stays in there. First spear tube. Boom. Okay, next pouch is the NVG pouch. This is a London Bridge Trading NVG or battery pouch, and like I said in the belt video, don't really pay attention to the camouflage. You can get this pouch in whatever color you need to get it in. This just happened to be the pattern that I had. But inside I got an Eagle Industries NVG insert with a dummy cord, of course, and Velcro, plus the dummy cord, plus the buckle for triple retention. And with that pouch, we kind of get to the first sacrifice that you're going to have to make if you are a gunner, is your NVGs and your other equipment that would normally be on your belt. Your NVGs are some of the most important piece of equipment that you are issued, and it should go on your belt because, like I kind of said in the belt video, you should maybe be able to complete your mission with just your belt. And if your mission goes into the nighttime, you're obviously going to need your NVGs. But I deemed it more important to have the IFAK and the ammo on the belt than to have the NVGs. So that moves the NVGs up to the plate carrier, and it moves them to a position that isn't really very optimal for the pistol draw. When I'm wearing the plate carrier, the pistol sits pretty much right below this pouch, and that might seem super counterintuitive, but I kind of mentioned it in the belt video that the pistol is there as almost like an afterthought, right? It's there for if you need it, but you're not gonna. It's never gonna be something that's worked into your plan, right? Your pistol's there. Maybe you're clearing an urban structure to get to a position where you can place the gun, or you can use it fighting out of your fighting hole if the enemy gets that close to you. But by that point, hopefully you've thrown the grenades, which are on your belt. So it's not optimal for pistol draw. However, it can't go any further back, and it can't go on this side because this guy has to be able to wear a ruck, and the shoulder straps are going to come right through here, and if it's right back here, it's going to interfere with his ruck. It's going to make him uncomfortable. It could smash his NVGs. So there's really no way to get around it. And as I said, it's one of the compromises that you're going to have to make. You're going to be a little bit more cumbersome. You're going to be a lot heavier. So it's just one of those things that you can't really get around. So that's my spiel on the placement of that. Now we'll move over to the other side. Now another T3 gear tourniquet pouch, stored the exact same way, same spiel, needs to be completely closed to keep it safe. And then we have our gunner's admin pouch. Now there's a reason why there's an admin pouch, and there's a reason why it's on the left side. It's got nothing to do with the gunner or the gunner's comfort. It's got to do with the team leader being able to access this pouch while the gunner is proned out in the firing position. The team leader is going to be on the left side of the gunner, and there's some stuff inside here that they might need while firing that the gunner isn't, he shouldn't come off of the gun to get this stuff out. He should try to, stay on the gun, and the team leader can access this stuff, right? So keep that in mind as I'm going through here. First thing on the front is an air panel. Air panel can be used for a number of signal plans, especially for machine gunners and saw gunners. You can use it to signal like how much ammo you have left, or maybe if your maneuver is about to breach your MSL or OSL, overhead safety line. So this can be very useful. You could argue whether the gunner needs to carry that, because like I kind of mentioned, it's not going to be the gunner's responsibility to give that signal, but it's a good spot for it. The team leader can reach it, and if the gunner had to do it himself, he has the equipment on him to do that. The next thing, on the inside, I've got 2 shampoo bottles, 2 travel shampoo bottles, and they're just filled with water right now to simulate weight. But what these would be filled with is LSA or LSAT or law or whatever lubricant you're using for your belt fed. And this shouldn't be your primary source of lubricant, right? Your primary should be maybe a Gatorade bottle or some type of other bottle inside your ruck, and your gun should be lubed before you go on patrol, like your pre-combat checks and inspections. Your gun should already be lubed. What this is in here for is if you need it. It's emergency lubricant, like you've been firing more than you anticipated you were going to fire, or maybe you're just burning through your lube a lot faster. So you have extra lube here. These are 3 ounces each, and they're pretty durable bottles, but you can use any travel bottle. What I have seen before is these little like Elmer's glue sized bottles. They look like bottles of Elmer's glue, size bottles of LSA, and they're OD green. They're made to do exactly what these are doing, but they're kind of hard to come by. They don't show up a whole lot, and I just don't have one on hand right now. So if you have those, you could substitute that with those, but if you don't have those, no fear, go to Target, get some shampoo bottles. Okay, next thing, headlamp. This is of course an important item for any infantryman to have. Not really more so important for a machine gunner, just equipment that he's going to need to carry no matter what. Cami paint, same story. He's going to need that stuff. Then we kind of get into the mission specific type stuff. We got batteries here. Now this is 8 batteries inside of a carrying case that I got. I can't remember where I got it from, but what I normally keep in this, if you've seen my other videos, you know that I normally keep 4 AA's and 4 123s. For this guy specifically, I've switched to 8 AA's. The reason being is a lot of machine gun optics, and obviously NVGs use these, but mainly the machine gun optics, most of them take AA's. So these are lithiums. They're 8 extra batteries because they burn through batteries really quickly sometimes, especially depending on the environment and the temperature. If it's really cold, you're not getting good battery life out of anything. So definitely a consideration. But these are, again, like the LSA, last resort batteries. Like, you should have more batteries inside your pack, especially as a gunner, or if you're the guy that's carrying that optic. It's your responsibility to have the batteries to fuel that optic, whether you get them from supply or you have to buy them yourself. It doesn't really matter. These are the last ones that you would use though, and you always want to give yourself the best option possible. So these last ones are lithiums. They'll last nice and long. Okay, An assortment of matte pens for using on range cards, just in case for whatever reason you don't have this kind of stuff in your pockets, or you know, a lot of times these go missing. So just some extra pens to use for range cards. This is kind of interesting. What this is a Night Eyes electronic glow stick, which I have subdued most of the way, but left enough of an opening to get a little bit of light out of it. And the reason I have this is for observing your T&E and your traversing bar. If you're firing the gun, more than likely your NVGs are either going to be flipped up because you're using some sort of night optic, or they're going to be focused on the impact area, focused on the target. And it's really difficult to focus your NVGs up that close to your face. So a little solution that I've came up with is using a chem light. And there's these but they're OD green. They're little tubes that you can put chem lights in, and then they have a little window that you can open. I've seen those before. Those would work fine, but one step higher, use a electronic one, subdue most of it so it's not too bright. You can use it to look at your range card, look at your traversing bar and your T&E, and then you'll be able to actually get onto those TRPs, because a lot of times with, like, you know, you make your range card during the day, and then when nighttime actually comes down, you felt pretty confident that you know what you were looking at night as well as you did during the day. But a lot of times that's not the case, and things look different through thermal and PBS type optics, and you need to get back on target. And you would have no way to look at your range card and look at your traversing bar without using a headlamp, which can give away your position. This can give away your position too, but it's much less so. You know, you can turn this on with it aimed at the ground, look at your card, keep it very low to the ground, and then you can look at your traversing bar and get yourself back in the right area, right? So that's the use and purpose of this. This can be a handy tool for any infantryman. If you're looking at maps or something like that, you know, anything that you want to use a little bit of light for, but not a whole lot, right? So that's that. Last thing I have in here is just a mini range card, but I already have the 4 up in the front. And then last 2 things actually, roll of electrical tape. So to go along with this, a roll of electrical tape can also be used to help orient yourself on your T&E and traversing bar. Like I said, all the problems that I mentioned with like trying to focus your NVGs that close up to your face, it's very difficult to do, and it starts giving you a headache. So what I've done before is I've made my range card during the day, set my TRPs, and then I place my gun onto those TRPs. And then on the left or right side of the traversing bar, or of the T&E where it attaches to the traversing bar, I just wrap a little roll of tape. And not a whole lot to where like you can't move the gun, but it gives you a little bit of tactile feel, and you can, through doing that, you now have like some sort of reference to where your where your TRPs are, at least in direction. You'll still have to do elevation and whatnot, which you can use this to read your range card and then read your T&E, but this can help you get to that deflection a little bit quicker. This is also very useful for guys who aren't familiar with the gun. You know, a lot of times guys that aren't in those gun teams end up standing watch, just to like, you know, alleviate or to get guys a little bit of experience on the gun. And if they don't know what they're doing, something like this could really help them out. So understand that while you as a gunner might not need this, it can be useful for other people. Last thing that I have here inside of an ESS glasses case is a very small level. Now, this can be debated as to its real importance, right? But if you have the time and you're setting up your gun, you're doing a range card, making TRPs, you should really try to make sure that your traversing bar is level. Why does it matter? Because if you're making a traversing adjustment and your traversing bar is not level, your traversing adjustment now turns into an elevation adjustment as well, right? And that's not good. You don't want that. You want your gun to be nice and level so you can apply the characteristics of fire and the classes of fire correctly, right? Obviously, if you're doing something like offensive, where you're doing a gun drill very quickly and getting your gun on the tripod, this isn't something that's super essential for you to do, right? You don't really need to do that, but this is one of those things that if you have the time to do it, you should do it. That covers everything inside of the admin pouch. And again, for the same reason, I've got nothing on the rest of the cummerbund, just slick for the ruck, and on the left side of the gunner, so the T&E can, or excuse me, on the left side of the gunner, so the team leader can access all of those items without the gunner having to come off of the firing controls. Lastly, cover the back. The back remains relatively unchanged. Still have the same hydration carrier with a 3-liter bladder. Still got all the same reasons for that. Like you should carry as much water as you can in your plate carrier, especially because there isn't really a good way to carry bottles. But here I've got a pouch down here that remains relatively empty. What I would normally do if I'm ever going away from my pack or from my patrol base for a while without my ruck for whatever reason, which is going to be rather seldomly, this would be used to fill survival kit type items. There's nothing really gun specific that I would put inside here. I guess you could throw some cleaning gear inside here, but really that stuff should be inside your pack, and more than often your pack's going to be on your back. So this usually would remain empty, but when it isn't, it's full of survival stuff. The last things is a pop flare pouch. Good thing for a gunner to have, but he doesn't really, as I kind of mentioned, he doesn't really need to signal, or he won't really be responsible for signaling, but it's something that his team leader can put on the back of him, and he can pull it off when he needs it without the gunner coming off the sights, off the fire controls. The shoulder pads themselves are just velocity, low profile shoulder pads, I think they're called. And there's a reason for them being so low profile, is because wearing a ruck, if you have really big, thick shoulder straps, it's going to be very uncomfortable for you. And this guy is already going to be so uncomfortable with the gun and all the stuff that he needs to carry. So anything that he can do to be a little bit more comfortable is a win for him. But that pretty much covers everything that I've got for saw gunner or machine gunner plate carrier. As I mentioned in the beginning, if you haven't seen the belt video, go watch the belt video, and the whole thing will make a little bit more sense once it's all put together. Thanks for watching. If you guys have comments, just go ahead and drop it down, and I'll see you next time.